In this video, we're going to be talking about painting our dragon eyes using tempera cakes. When I show you these things, I just want you to keep in mind what I'm looking for and for you to just take your time and see your dragon eye come to life. Okay, so today we're going to be working on painting the background part of our dragon eyes. When you go to paint it, you don't want to just do one solid color. You want to really work on adding more of that texture using color this time instead of the lines. So we're going to be using our tempera cakes that we've used in the past, and now I know they look a little dirty and messy. That's okay. When you go to use it, you'll clean it off. So when you use these, remember they start off dry and you need to add water to them. But you don't want to, basically you don't want to go in and just go over and over and over and over and over and get a ton of paint on your brush. You just need to do only a couple swipes and it'll pick up plenty to do your spots. So how you do that is you just wet the area. A technique that you can do if you really want to do, similar to a watercolor look, is maybe you get your paper wet first in a couple of the areas that you want to do. So maybe I'm going to wet this area and then wet this area of my paper. And then I'm going to go in and grab some blue, and I can just touch the areas with my blue. And you'll see how it gives it that really neat, marbly kind of texture effect or look. So I just grab a little bit of paint, just a couple little dabs. There's that. Maybe I get my brush wet and I grab some purple, and I can do some purple dots on top of here. And then I can go in with my purple. And see how it's solid this way. So just really go in and add some more texture colors to your piece. Now I want to show you when I go in to grab my paint, just as a showing, this is what I'm doing. I just grab a little bit of water and then I'm going to just gently touch. So you can notice in this picture here, there's just a tiny little area that's wet. I'm only dabbing it just a tiny little bit. And that gives me, look how much color that is just with those quick little wipes. Okay? So if you feel like you have too much, just grab some of the paint off. You can take it like this. And then you go in, and I'm just going to lightly just go dab, dab. I have tons of blue on here. And there's my blue to go over, back over that spot. Give it that look that I wanted. Okay? Now to grab for the paint for in here, I'm just going to go quick, cup a little bit. Look how much paint is on there. one thing, if you want to do a neat little shadow, don't wet your brush anymore, and you just get a little bit of a darker paint, and you just do the corners. And it gives it a really neat shadow. Okay, so there is the start of my dragon. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit more and come back and show you some other ideas. A key thing to point out, as you'll notice here, is you want to start with the lightest color first. So here, to kind of give some more dimension or texture to my dragon eye, I started off with yellow, and then I grabbed a really watered down bit of red, and I started with the red on the corners and just kept going. I didn't grab any more color, and that's how you see how it starts to fade to a light orange. And then I went back and grabbed a couple, just a little quick dab of red, and I went on the top of a couple areas to just make it a little darker. So you can see how it gives it that really neat shadow. The same thing for, you'll notice here, I did that as well. So let me see if I can zoom in. You'll notice that I started off with a really, really pink, almost pale, barely any amount of red. And then I went into my corners where the shadows would be, just like we did with our eyes. And I just brought in some of that darker red and went over to this other side as well. And then to give it a little bit more dimension and texture, I just put some yellow on top just to make it pop up with this color and a little bit in the eye so it stands out. So to show you, I just quickly, barely, I didn't have to get my green wet at all. So you can see I just had this little wet drop here. That's as much water as I've used on this. So you never have to go all over the whole K-cup. You waste a lot of paint that way. You just want to touch and dab it. So I'm going to just quickly dab just like that. I have a lot of green on my paintbrush now. And you'll notice that I have that light green. Now I want to give it a little bit of a darker green on the corner. So I'm going to use the corner of my paintbrush. And I'm just going to use that darker green to give it a little bit of a shadow. Just follow that curve. And you know, everything's a shadow. You don't have to do everything a shadow. I just wanted to do that. So don't grab any more water if you want to make a darker color. You just grab a little bit more of the paint. So the more paint, the more watercolor it looks. I mean more water, sorry, the more watercolor it looks. The less water, the less it looks that way. So I just did 2 little grabs of that paint. And if the areas are still really wet, it's not going to work, and you can always come back and do that a little bit later, like this one you'll see. So there I have my green done. So when I zoom out, it just gives it a little bit more of dimension. Now I did complementary colors, so the purple and yellow next to each other, and then I did red and green is another complementary. Blue and orange is another one as well. So feel free to keep adding and going on yours. I'm just going to pause the video and do a little bit more. In here, you'll notice that I'm just adding lots of different colors to the yellow. I'm adding some red, I'm doing a little bit of tiny amounts of black for a shadow, and then I'm going in with some more yellow too. So I'm trying to have some areas of dark, some areas of light, and some areas of shadow. And that's what gives it that really cool, different, unique look to it. And also just play with the colors as you go. You might start off with the lighter color, like I'm doing the blue, just to see if I like it. And then after I like it, I go back in and I just pick up a little more paint and make it a little darker. And that's all you need to do whenever you're coloring and painting in your dragon.